demons, sorcerers, mutated animals, angry women with very, very large swords. That is just a few of the elements of Lloyd Chow's Widow Warriors, based on a screenplay by Christine To Chai Long. And it sounds like a pretty good premise for a graphic, doesn't it, Al?
It really does. Kind of like 300, but with women instead of Spartans and a bit of magic sprinkled across it. I mean, if that was a movie that was coming out, I would go watch it.
Yeah.
But does it work as a graphic novel?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
It does not.
It's unfortunate, but you are right.
Yeah.
It falls a bit flat. It took me a while to actually figure out what bothered me the most about this one.
Yeah, and what did you come up with?
Well, I mean, for a start, the plotting is pretty awful. I mean, it jumps back and forward with little more than meanwhile in the spooky forest or meanwhile in the palace to let us know where we are and what the hell's going on.
Okay, but before we do the same thing, let us give our viewers a little bit of a story on Widow Warriors.
Okay, meanwhile in Kapow, Sonya gives some setup.
Widow Warriors is the story of the Yang family, who at the start of the book, pretty much their entire male population get massacred by the Liaos, their enemies and China's enemies.
Yeah.
The women of the Yang family petition the emperor to send more men to the border to avenge their deaths, but they are refused.
Yes, so the 300 women, coincidentally enough,
Indeed.
really, 300 women, decide to go and get revenge for themselves. Now, as we said, based on that premise, seems like it would be pretty good, but by the end of this graphic novel, I was just glad it was over.
Yeah, I kind of feel that Widow Warriors kind of suffered from its origins as a screenplay. If characters get caught in a net, just show me them getting caught in a net. Don't also tell me that they're caught in a net.
Yeah.
I don't need to read that as well. There's a lot of these kind of narrative blocks throughout. It's kind of like stage directions running throughout this.
Yeah.
There is a time and a place for that.
True.
But every second panel is not that time or place. Oh, and talk about disjointed. What's the deal with telling me that someone has a magic whip halfway through the book?
The magic whip. Yeah,
You've been using that.
the whole way through. Never did anything remotely magical, and
No.
then it's like, oh, with her
Magic
magic
whip.
whip. And that's just one of the many things that Chow just tries to shoehorn into the story with his little third-person narratives.
Honestly, though, if those little narratives weren't there, I think I would have actually had a bit of trouble working out what was actually going on.
That's true.
You could actually read this book just with those little blocks, which kind of feels like Cho didn't really know what he was doing in this medium. I mean, if you can just read the book without looking at the pictures, it kind of defeats the purpose of a graphic novel.
Graphic novel,
Really?
yes. On that topic, though, in graphic novel, how about Pat Lee's art? I mean, I thought that was okay. It was a bit drab.
It's okay. That's the thing. Nothing excited me about this artwork. I mean, we're told that these women are travelling across a huge distance amongst all these amazing countrysides.
Yeah.
And they're all the same colour, and they look all the same. Like, they could have just been in the backyard, really. And there's a few panels that kind of stand out, maybe because they were using different colours to brown and grey.
Yeah.
But they're too few and far between. I just got really bored with the artwork.
Yeah, I mean, there was that one bit, they were at a river, and that
Yeah.
actually goes blue for a change.
Yeah.
But for such an intriguing premise, this was a real disappointment. I mean, what are you going to give it?
As much as I hate to do this, I have to bury this comic.
Ooh.
I don't know, I haven't done it for such a long time. I really don't like burying comics.
I know.
But this is a disjointed story. The artwork is boring and dreary. It's actually quite confusing at times as well. I have to bury it.
You know what? It's actually quite liberating
No.
to hand out a berry when it's deserved. You can't give a comic a free ride just because it's got an intriguing premise. I mean, as we said, the plotting in this, no good. And little to no character development
That's
as
true.
well. I mean, just that it needs to be a berry from me as well. This is a big disappointment, and people need to know.
I don't like burying comics.
You know what? You know what the best thing in this comic was?
What?
It was one line that I actually really liked. What the? Ninjas! And
true.
that was the best thing in it, and
That's
that tells
true.
you everything you need to know.
Meanwhile, in another review,
Magic whip!